All right, what's up everybody? Welcome back to Make It Custom. I'm Carl Fisher, and today I bet you I will tell you something about an Oxyfuel cutting torch that you didn't know. Follow to find out. Don't forget to like, click subscribe, hit notifications. Let's get into it. All right, before we get started, I have a huge announcement. This is a very special event. We're gonna be hosting a metal shaping class at Sosa Metalworks in Las Vegas this November 9th to 12th. Get your tickets now. We are having special guest Graybar Rd. If you do not know who that is, he is a world famous motorcycle builder, just like Christian Sosa, and the two of them together are gonna be hosting this class with me as well in Vegas, November 9th to 12th. There's only limited seats. So Graybar Rd, he is a super wild guy. He's an extremely talented metal shaper. He does mostly hand metal shaping with aluminum race bikes, hand-built, beautiful bikes. His bikes are in museums, as are Christian's. These two together is gonna be amazing. I've never met Graybar Rd before, and I can't wait to meet him. The three of us are gonna be helping you guys in a class November 9th to 12th in Las Vegas. Super excited. Okay, let's get back into this video. All the links are in the description to get in on this class. Register now. They're gonna go fast. It's gonna be a great time. 3 full days of metal shaping with the three of us, as well as a huge barbecue the night before the class. So it'll be Thursday night, Friday all day, Saturday all day, Sunday all day. We will be building motorcycle tanks from scratch, doing the whole design process, everything from start to finish. Or if you choose to, you can do a slightly different project and we'll help you on whatever you want to do. But mostly we're going to tailor this class to motorcycle gas tanks from scratch, from design to creation in 3 days. So, some things that I like about Oxyfuel cutting, it's just such a versatile tool, right? I use oxy and acetylene. You can use oxypropane, oxy-map gas. Those are just different types of fuel that are sometimes more cost effective. Personally, I love oxy-acetylene. Acetylene is the hottest gas, I think, ever, other than Elio's farts. So basically, you can do so much with Oxyfuel. Not only can you cut steel, but you can gouge, you can heat things, you can bend them, you can forge metal, you can weld with oxy-acetylene. So it's just a super versatile tool. But what I want to show you guys today is a couple techniques on how to cut using Oxyfuel. I want to do a little bit of bending and show you guys how to bend solid metal with Oxyfuel. And then the other thing I'm going to show you is how to cut a nut off of a bolt without messing up the bolt. I know that sounds weird, but this is another advantage to Oxyfuel over plasma cutting, is that it works on heat transfer. It doesn't work on electric continuity. It doesn't work on electricity, meaning that like if I ground the bolt and cut with plasma, it's not going to care that these threads are not, part of the nut. It'll cut through it. But Oxyfuel or oxy-acetylene works on heat transfer. You heat up the nut, you start cutting the nut. The bolt is still cold, so it's not hot enough yet to be cut. Oxyfuel cutting is rapid oxidization, and it needs to happen when it's preheated. That's why you preheat before you cut, and then you start cutting. You can't just start cutting right away. Same deal with this. I'm gonna show you. So let's start with cutting. We're gonna cut some thinner material. We're gonna do some 10 gauge plate, and then we're gonna do some 1/4 inch plate, and then we're gonna do some 3/4 inch plate, and then I might even turn it up till it's 2 inches thick and show you that it can cut that as well. Another thing that Oxyfuel can do. All right, so 10 gauge versus 1/4 inch. The difference, actually,
10 gauge is about an 1/8 inch thick. It's a bit thicker than 1/8 inch, but I do not see the striker.
I need it.
Wasn't it on the seat? No. I don't. Have you used it today?
No, we haven't fired. Oh, here it is. Striker.
Why do you use a striker instead of a lighter?
Okay. My welding teacher told me that you don't use a lighter because lighters can explode. I've never personally exploded one. I think that you know, it'd be pretty hard to, but yeah, don't use lighters because people that know more than me say not to, I guess. You know? Okay, so Oxyfuel, I pretty much keep these set at like, I'll go maybe 6 pounds on the acetylene, and I'll go like 20 on the fuel, on the oxygen, maybe 25. That's about what I'll be using for this today. I might have to turn it up a little bit to go on the thicker material, but we'll give it a try. This, I believe, is a 1X tip. They go 1, 2, and 3. Those are the different sizes. They even go into 0 and 00. Those are how they size the tips themselves. So right now, it's called a combination torch. The reason why it's called a combination torch is it comes apart right here. And then you could put, say, a gas welding setup onto the same torch. It's not a torch that's purpose-built specifically for cutting. Those torches would only have 2 knobs on them, and that would be it. This one has the 3rd one. So this one I keep this one all the way on because this is my oxygen control here, and my high pressure. So you always light the fuel first because you can't light oxygen. So we get the fuel, then we neutralize the flame. When I say neutralize, you see this like bright lick in the flame? That tail is the acetylene. The more oxygen you add, that tail gets smaller, and once it gets small enough that it's on the preheating tips, can you see that? No? A carburizing flame. The reason it's carburizing is because it has more acetylene than it does oxygen. When I make that tail smaller, I am neutralizing the flame, and now when all you see is the bright tips of the preheating orifices, which are the outer ring of holes in the tip, that is a neutral flame. If I add a little bit more oxygen to the mixture, you'll hear it. These get a little sharper. That is the hottest flame. Is it hotter? That's an oxidizing flame when you add more oxygen than neutral. So your neutral flame is as soon as you allow that added acetylene to disappear. So that's carburizing, neutral, oxidizing. When we're cutting, we want to use a neutral flame to cut. So right now this is a cutting flame. Don't pay attention, this torch is a little bit sticky. That's not what you're supposed to see. There we go. When I add high pressure, it's just the center orifice is giving a pressurized boost of oxygen. That is what is doing the actual cutting, is that center orifice. So those outer ones, these outer 6 are what we're looking at when we are neutralizing the flame. And then when I add high pressure, only the center orifice is blowing through that. So whenever you end up with a dirty tip and you're oxy-fuel cutting, or whatever, it's usually just the center orifice that got a little bit of spatter inside of it and is messing up the cut path. It's usually not the outer ones that affect it too much. Obviously, you want them all to be clean, but usually it's the center one that is the problem. So we're gonna go ahead and cut this. This is some 10 gauge pickled and oiled steel. It's just, offcuts. When we're cutting thinner material, you want to actually angle in the direction of travel, because this doesn't want to cut really thin material. It wants to cut a little bit thicker material. Like the size of that orifice is quite large. So it always helps to angle in the direction of travel and add travel speed. You want to go a little bit faster. For thicker material, I could have, you know, more vertical and even still slightly pushed in the direction of travel. When we go into very thick material like 3/4 inch or thicker, you'll probably only be shooting straight down at it. So I'll show you cutting, just trying to go straight and straight across like this, which is what most people would do. And then I'll show you when I angle in the direction of travel and go a little bit faster, what the difference is. So let's do that right now. I've got this just on a cut shade. Usually want about a shade 5 for Oxyfuel cutting. This lens does do it, so I just wear the whole helmet. Okay, now that's acetylene on, adding oxygen, neutralizing the flame. This is my torch. There we go. Now we're ready to cut. Make sure my lines are out of the way. Okay, this is just moving straight across. Not bad, but we've got a bit of slag build up. I think that we can do better. Angled in the direction of travel now and moving a little faster. A little bit less slag, nice sharp edge on the cut. You can probably bust some of that slag off too. So there you go, pretty nice cut, I would say. Pretty similar to plasma cutting. That's just a normal torch. Now let's do a little bit thicker material. Okay, not bad. Not a bad cut. Kind of straight. I'm just freehanding it. Let's do one with a ruler and actually try and be accurate. A lot of people think that oxyfuel cutting is just always so jagged and it's kind of, you know, not an accurate way to do it. One thing that you'll notice if you're oxyfuel cutting is that a Sharpie doesn't, like it just, you can't even see a Sharpie. So soapstone is what works awesome. Soapstone leaves a nice white mark and it doesn't burn off when you've got high pressure and high heat blasting at it. So let's do this. Oops, just broke my soapstone. So I'm just gonna try and do that line totally freehand, and we'll stick the ruler up to it after and see how accurate we can be. Say within a 1/16 or so. Not terrible.
I would say so.
Honestly, that wouldn't have passed when I went to school.
Really?
It was a 30-second. He used a feeler gauge. He would stick your piece, like to pass oxy-fuel cutting, he'd take your piece and 8 inches long. 8 inches long, he'd stick it on the table, and if he could put a 30-second, like a 032 feeler gauge under it, you'd have to do it again. No grind. Elio's face right now. Elio's face right now. He's just like, what?
I would fail.
Anyway, yeah, you can be pretty accurate with it, and there's an even better way.
And that is why I have a CNC table.
Yeah, that's why he has a CNC. Okay, ready? The other way, I mean, I used to do a bit of field work. I used to work in building garbage compactors and modifying garbage compactors, so everything was like half-inch plate, big chunks of steel. That's actually where the scrap metal came from to build the last little power hammer there. Was from that garbage compactor place. So we were always, you know, oxy-fuel cutting and for fun, we like tried to do really nice work on garbage compactors, you know, for fun. So we would always use a guide bar when we were torching, but you get a piece of heavy steel and then you use that as a guide bar. Now, you can really get a good cut.
Wow.
I mean, now, like, you couldn't get a feeler gauge in that. That's dead nuts. So, a torch is just as good as a plasma and better. You know, I get it that plasmas are easy and and you can just kind of draw whatever. And truth be told, thinner material, like plasma's the only way to go. Like, you're gonna warp the crap out of it with heat, right? But I would always buy an oxy-fuel torch before a plasma. I actually barely use the plasma unless it's on the table. That's actually, I never use the plasma.
I've never used my plasma off the table.
Yeah. It's usually a torch, it's just handy. So yeah, that's what I wanted to show you with that. Let's cut some of the thicker material. We'll give that a slice.
This is 3/4 inch thick.
Okay, so 3/4 inch thick flat bar, same tip, no changing. This tip is doing it all for us right now.
Do you want to school us a little on when do you tell when to cut? Like, how do you tell when to cut it?
Like once it's preheated?
Yeah, like how, is there any tips or tricks on preheating it or knowing when to?
For preheating it, I mean, basically, I just put the edge of the tip so that those heating orifices, I put those little cones right on the edge. And once I see the metal get orange right there, like right at the tip of those little cones is like the hottest little spot. So, you know, when the little cones are there, I'll just touch 1 or 2 of the cones right on the edge of the material and I'll see it get orange right there. It'll happen pretty quick, like you just saw it in real time. It happened very fast on this thick material. As soon as that becomes orange or you see it start to melt just a tiny bit, it's definitely hot enough. Add high pressure and start moving. Great question. Should we try doing 2 inch?
Let's do the 2 inch.
Okay, we're gonna cut it the hard way. Same tip. You could probably up the size tip. You can make the size tip small too for doing really thin sheet. Like I know I just said earlier that it wouldn't be the greatest on thin stuff, but you can get super small tips to do thin stuff if you want. Okay, Let's go right down the 2-inch. I'm gonna start on a cold spot. Start right here, put the orifices on the side. Kinda did it. Hey, let's try it again. You think I could add a little more pressure? Can you up my pressure a little? Go to like 8, yeah. And then I'll go to like 35 here. Okay, we'll give it another shot, see if we can't do it a bit cleaner. I'm gonna preheat the side of this material a little bit. There we go. Okay, that was 2 inches thick, straight through. Pretty neat that you can do that. We had to turn the pressure up a little bit to make it a bit better. If that was a bigger tip, it would make it even easier, but that is all with the same tip I use all day, every day. I never change it. Like, it does everything I ask it to. What is next? Should we torch the bolt or twist the square bar?
Let's twist the bar and then finish it off with the bolt.
Okay, let's find some square bar. I gotta find some. I have really thin square bar, like super cute. Like we could make a bracelet. Elio, you want a friendship bracelet? Instead of twisting square bar, because I actually have a video on this. You guys can search it up. It's called the Indian Larry Twist. He's a motorcycle builder that made it very popular to twist square bar. That is what I was about to show you guys, but I'm just gonna link it in the description. I'm gonna show you a different heating and bending scenario. This is actually, I think this is like one of the first things I ever did the twist on. This is square bar and it's twisted with oxy-acetylene. You heat up an area, you twist it one way, and then you heat up another small section, you twist it the other way, and getting it smooth and making it look the way you want is kind of the art of it. But I severely warped a 1/4 inch thick table at welding school making this, because I didn't put it in a vise and have it hover so that I could do it. I did it against a table so that I was actually heating up the table the whole time and it was warping the crap out of it. So instead of that, go check out that video. We'll show you bending flat bar the hard way on an edge. What's up, Carl? Come on in, buddy. Okay, so this is 1/4 inch by 1 inch flat bar, right? I'm sure all of you have heard about bending it this way. You can also bend it the other way. That's the beautiful thing about the torch as well, is you can bend all kinds of material, solid or hollow, with that same oxy-fuel setup. I've actually done quite a bit of bending with pipe and filling it with sand, okay? That's something that, should we do that? We don't have time for that today. No. We're gonna do that on another video. We'll do a sand bending video where you can take hollow things and gingerly, there's a bit of a technique into heating it up and how to do the bends, but you can do it. So what I'm gonna do right now is we're gonna heat up this 1/4 inch by 1 inch flat bar, and we'll bend it the hard way. When you're heating material to be bent, you kind of want a carburizing flame. The reason I say that is because when you have a neutral flame and you have those small orifices that have the cones on them that are used to preheat and start a cut, those are extremely hot. And it's a very small area that's extremely hot, so you can burn your material. So what you do is you take a little bit of the oxygen out of it, and you allow that tail to grow on the flame, and now it's carburizing. Now we've got a similar heat in that whole lick of flame. So we'll use that.
1 second.
So when you're heating up a piece of solid, you want to heat up a long area. If you heat up a very small spot, then all the stretch and all the movement has to happen in a small area. So you want to heat up the entire radius of whatever bend you're trying to achieve. So in this case, I'm gonna do a pretty large radius. So I'm heating up about 4 inches of the material and waiting until it gets about cherry hot. The more even your heat, the more even your bend. We are just about there. We have not burned the material at all. The surface of the material is unchanged. We're just about there. Shut the torch off, fuel first. Now we've got a little bit of a twist in it. Where did the hammer go? Just knock that down. There you go. Got a nice radius the hard way on 1/4 inch by 1 inch flat bar. When was the last time you did that? What could you use that for? I don't know. You figure it out. Do that. Can we get a flame? Whew. Okay, next up, last thing. 3/4 inch bolt, 3/4 inch nut, coarse thread. I'm gonna cut the nut off the bolt without messing up the bolt. And if I mess up the bolt, I mess up the bolt, and I'll have egg on my face. So the whole principle in this, like I was saying before, is heat transfer. I'm going to quickly do this. If you take too long when you're doing this, the heat will heat up the threads, and then you'll end up cutting the threads. So I want to heat up the nut quite fast and cut it off the threads as quick as possible. I'm gonna have to use a chisel, hold on. I gotta get the chisel. Okay.
You can see the threads coming through.
Okay, So you cut right to the threads. This is not working as good as I had hoped here, guys.
It's almost...
I didn't quite cut enough through. Okay, hold on. I'm still gonna save it. Where's the striker? There you go. Whew. Well, I messed up the threads with the hammer, but I did not cut the threads with the torch. Okay. In an even bigger bolt, that'd probably work a little better. So I'm sorry. I haven't done that since high school. But that proves the point of, thank you for shutting off my torch, Elio. That was very kind of you. That proves my point though, heat transfer, that's the difference between a plasma cutter and the torch, is that it works on heat transfer. So you can get very close to things. That's, like, think about other applications. How often are you torching the nut off a bolt? That was kind of just a flex, but.
Well, if you look at the other side here too, like, you don't see any, like, where you didn't hit it with a hammer, like, you didn't really affect the threads.
Yeah,
but
think about like two pieces of plate. Like where I use that technique in real life is when I'm cleaning the brackets off a rear end, okay? If you think about a plasma cutter, you're not gonna be able to get a plasma cutter super close. But what I'll do is I'll cut the brackets off the rear end first, and then I'll come in with the torch and I will heat up from the side, not where the weld is, but where the plate is, and start burning that. And because the plate is not connected to the rear end, that plate will blow away and you'll be left with only a little bit of weld to grind. So I always use the torch. Like, it saves me tons of time. I don't know how much time I used to spend grinding. Like, if I were to use a zip cut and grind and cut off the brackets on a rear end and then have to grind everything down to the rear end housing, it'd take you forever. But with a torch, you torch everything off and then you come wash it off like this. This is called washing the nut off a bolt. You wash those parts away from the rear end, and that's a way to save time. So torch is a must have in the shop. It is the only, like, if I could only have one tool, before I even bought a welder, I'd buy a torch, because a torch can weld too. So it just really does everything: cutting, heating, bending, torching, like all that stuff. So the more you can use one, the better it'll be in your life. And anyway, would you call that a done video?
I think we've covered all the bases.
All right.
Right?
Well, I'm gonna call the video here. That's it for the torch. We'll revisit the torch. We'll do some other stuff with it in a future video. Maybe some more heat shrinking or some gas welding, maybe some leading in a future video. But thanks a lot for watching, everybody. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for sharing, all that great stuff. If you'd like to be a part of the custom crew, you can check it out. It's $5 a month, 15% off on the merch store, japhandskustoms.com. And you get a little badge by your name, makes you a little more searchable in the comments so that we can get back to you a little bit easier. So leave a comment, like, subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next one. See you guys.